Welcome everyone today to today's Venturous session. We are pleased to have Benson Tam, our founder and CEO with us today, who's going to talk about our roadmap to IPO and also the opportunity to invest in our Series B. A brief intro to Benson. He is indeed the founder and CEO of our company, but he has a very long, distinguished career when it comes to investments, in particular when it comes to private equity, technology, and China. He started his private equity career with Hellman & Friedman out of Hong Kong, and his last senior position prior to creating his own family office, which evolved into a Venturous Group ultimately in 2019. That was as a partner with Fidelity Growth Partners Asia. Benson has, through his years, in particular with Fidelity, been involved in a number of very interesting and successful technology companies. Among them, we have Asia Info, Alibaba, iSoftStone, and Wuxi Aptech. And if we move to the next slide, you will get a very brief intro to the rest of the management team. We have Scott Yeh, who is our Chief Science Officer, who is also double hatting as the Chief Technology Officer of SwanLink, which Benson will talk about a little bit more later on. That is our latest joint venture that we announced. We have Thomas Pang, co-founder and CFO, also the acting CEO of our first joint venture, Neuron Digital Group. Jie Teng, who is co-founder and what we call Chief Investment, Build and Operate Officer. She has done a lot of startups herself in the technology space in China. And then we have myself, who have more of a consultant and a banking background, but also done quite a bit of alternative investments prior to my career with Venturous. And last but not least, we have Ken Wong, who is a co-founder and Chief Government Officer. He is the one who is working very, very closely with multiple city governments as we speak, to create a lot of exciting opportunities for us in China. So with that, Benson, I will put myself on mute, and the stage is yours to take us from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. Well, hello, everyone. We've got a lot to go through today, but it all boils down to 3 messages. So we're going to whisk through all of this in half an hour. Don't worry about taking notes and all that. We will share this deck with you if you're interested. So all the details, everything that you want to get your teeth into, it will be available to you. So I'm not going to speak to every slide. There's a lot to go through. So message number 1. Today we're talking about the opportunity for you to join us. This is Series B. We had a Series A last year. And I think the first thing to do to talk about what we are happening on Series B is that we had quite a good year, despite a lot of the market stress that you see. We had a good year. I would also stress that myself, including my team, we are the largest investor into this Venturous Group. I'm the single largest shareholder as well. So effectively, I'm all in to this. And I think you see 2 other larger investors who also believe in us and has written big checks as well. The other point to note is, of course, with this Series B, it is being led by China Light and Power. For people who are based in Hong Kong, this is a very familiar name. It's a 100-year-old power generation company from Hong Kong. It is now working throughout Southeast Asia and even operate its own nuclear power plant within China. So we're very happy that they are the lead investor in this round. I will also be talking about that our end game is to be IPO in Hong Kong. And we have our own structures and plans and strategies to be listed within the medium term. And finally, this is the capital raise that we're talking about. We have found our lead investor. We also have quite a few who are following on investors from Series A. They are doubling down with us. We are processing others who have already sort of signed up for Series B as well. And I've been reminded to say that this is on a first come, first served basis. And we reserve the right to close at any time when we hit the number that we need. Okay, so that's the opportunity. Okay, so my second message is smart cities. I like to call it basically the hidden gem in broad daylight. It's a 4 trillion emerging market. Some of the biggest investment banks are already on the case, but quite a few people still have not heard about it. So we're going to talk about the story about this. First of all, we are one of the first movers in this. The reason why we are doing it is that smart cities are not just a big market. We believe it is the new centers of the new digital economy. The technology that runs the new digital cities are the master key to building the cities. We also call it the third generation internet, the next one after the mobile internet. And it is on fire, meaning that if we look at previous internet sort of history, it's probably going to be only about 5 to 8 years before this next city internet will have dominant players. So we are on a battle against time to build the Citytech Group. We built a strong base already. We started in 2019, about 3 years ago. If you look to the left, we are already have a 20% plus market presence in China. Roughly 170 out of the 800 cities in smart cities in China, we have coverage and we are delivering products and services over there. We think this is a unique opportunity for people looking for assets that have strong impact on ESG. And we will also be talking about why we have the ability to safely and systematically build, not just to invest, but also to build and operate our own companies. And then thirdly, it's about scaling very fast. And again, sort of, there are a lot that we will talk to you about later on. So here's the big picture. Here's the 4 trillion that we talk about. This is the 800 smart cities that are already happening in China for the last 10 years. Initially, it was about sort of wiring up networking, into hospital networks, traffic networks, and so on. But gradually, this is becoming smarter and smarter, such that, for example, in Hangzhou, you see what we call city brains. And one by one, other cities like Shenzhen and Wuhan and others are also starting to build their small versions of the city brain. Cities are also not just about a financial return. If you think about it, almost all of the most intractable, unsolvable problems that humanity has today, like pollution, congestion, and unaffordable housing, is to do with cities, because the urbanization of the human race continues to cluster more and more so into cities. So that's why this is not only a good financial return, but it's also huge impact that we can do good to cities. The other characteristics of the smart city is, of course, that it's not just one technology. You'll hear about many other technologies, what we call under the umbrella of Citytech, where everything needs to be weaved together, forming a complex whole. And in order to do what? In order that we have what we call a programmable city, meaning that in the future, your mobile phone will be your remote control to the entire city. You can start to control your office, your home. You can even program and subscribe to various city services and opportunities and so on. And the other thing is that with this complex ball of wax, it's almost like an orchestra. And therefore, you'll find that time and again, we come back to the point that you need one or more conductors in order for this complex, very complex system to be built. Another thing that we said time and again is that it's not just about the money, it's about the impact, it's about the ESG. And these metrics on the right are some of the impacts that our projects and some of the smarter cities are demonstrating as well. Some of them are potential, some of them are actual sort of achievements. And again, as you can see, the compound growth rate in China alone reaching sort of 4 trillion today is on a tear, 30% type growth rates. So that's the opportunity. So what are we doing? Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say is that this is such a complex system we're trying to build. It's not just one product. It's not just one technology. It's a whole city with multiple technologies, multiple sort of stakeholders, many companies, multiple city districts, governments, all collaborating together. So that's why we need a new approach. And so over the next few slides, we'll talk a little bit about what we have, in a sense, designed ourselves to fully match the opportunity and also make it lower risk and high return for us. On this page, what I want to say is that Venturous really is a group of people who are on a mission, not just to make money, but to build. The mission to do what? Basically, I think the vision is that the city that we know, if we put a system and make it programmable, we can completely, in a sense, create a whole new type of much more easier city living, much more productive city living for everyone concerned. Using what? Using technology weaved into a platform, building up the infrastructure that is underneath it, and going into what we call deep tech in order for 5G, AI, IoT, a digital twin, all of them working in a synchronized way to provide and deliver the easy, shall we say, living on a remote control for you. We also will talk about that we have a system, we have our own way of doing things that is proven over the last, I would say, 10, 15 years that I've been in China, but also in a sense, leveraging on all of the resources that are built over the last 20 years. So there is a method to the madness. And another way to put it is that in order to create this complex city technology, this smart city, we are ourselves creating within Venturous Group a value creation engine at scale. That's why, after just 3 years, we are now operating in 170 cities through our core holdings. We are in multiple cutting edge technologies. We have a lot of, shall we say, CTOs who are all, in a sense, helping us build this #1 Citytech Group that we are talking about. Again, lots to talk about, but I'll just give you a sketch of the complex engine that we are building in order to address this very complex yet very exciting opportunity that we face. So message number 3 is that to give you the simplest way to describe how we intend to build our Venturous Group of synergistic city tech companies, we are starting with 5 core companies. And I'm talking to you about the 5 core companies. And they will be, in a sense, almost like the anchor, the base asset from which we are going to procreate many more companies out of it. First of all, what we have done is that within, as we said, the many technologies within City Tech, we identified what we call the 4 must-have: smart energy, smart building, smart computing, and also smart city management. These 4 core ones, I also call them data magnets, meaning that you'll find that one way or another, for any smart cities to be operating, the data, the people, the users, and everything else somehow needs to get through one of these critical points. So that's why these 4 are must-have city tech areas. So what we have done first is that we identified the 4 key areas. We have now captured 4 leading companies in China for all 4 of them. And in fact, we have started procreating the first, so that's why we now have 5 companies. So these are smart energy is Anjie, smart building is Neuron, smart computing is actually iSoftStone, and the son of iSoftStone, which is SwanLink, and then also smart city management is ISS Tech. Again, we will tell you much more about these companies. First of all, core holdings, #1, smart energy, Anjie. They are already dominant in Tianjin. This is not a startup. This company has a big revenue. It is already dominant in Tianjin, where its base city is. It's now going national, and we are helping them go national. And from energy, we are going into smart energy operating systems, meaning that they are operating buildings on behalf of the customers, not just delivering a solution. Neuron is our smart buildings key core company. This is given birth by our partnership with Arup that I'll talk about. But the theme here is that if you really think about all of the best buildings, wherever you're living, you go in, you find that it's all pre-digital. It is not run by a computer system. That's why what we are trying to do is to put brain in every building, starting from Hong Kong, but hopefully spreading to Southeast Asia and then to the world. Another company that we already have a stake in is, again, another strong leader in the smart computing world in China is iSoftStone. I've been involved with them for, more than 15 years now, since 2007. And this is a company that has 90,000 employees. This is a company that has, 2 billion revenue. This is a company that partners with Huawei, with Alibaba, with Tencent, with Baidu. They work with all of the top companies in most of the industries. And they are definitely nowadays one of the top providers for digital transformation. Again, we're very proud and very excited to have them to be working as a partner with us. And by the way, the CTO or used to be CTO of iSoftStone is now our Chief Science Officer, Scott Ye, as well. SwanLink, smart computing. You may have heard of a new operating system by Huawei called Open Harmony. This is the next generation operating system built on what we call the Internet of Things network. IoT network. So Harmony is on a pilot basis being deployed not only into 300 million phones, but it's now gradually being deployed into devices, machines, cars, control systems, and so on. So that's why it's a new breed, a next generation operating system based out of what we call distributed operating system architecture. So again, very, very exciting, a new company that we have given birth together with iSoftStone. And then the fourth area, smart city management. This is where, ISSTech basically serve the city and say that, all the public services that you used to have, like fire services, traffic, like ambulances and hospitals and everything else, can all be, in a sense, networked together and control from one sort of main control center, so that everything is coordinated and everything is much more able to handle crises and all that. So this is ISSTech, and they have been serving cities, 170 or more of them, over the last 10 years or so. And the communities that they have served, that they have managed, have populations that exceed 1 million already, just as one single largest community that they served. So all of these are very exciting leaders, and all of them are basically the base from which that we want to build. But on top of these core holdings, we also have two very key, important strategic partners, because again, we can't start and try to reinvent the wheel or to build next generation technology from the start. So we're very, very happy that we are strategic partner to Arup. I call them the Google of the construction world. If you think of any of the tallest buildings, longest bridges, or even many of the smart towns that are being planned around the world, you'll find that Arup is behind many of them. Another strategic partner who just joined us and who is also our Series B lead investor is, of course, China Light and Power. Again, I won't go into too much detail except to say that this is a 100-year-old giant with power generation operations for the bulk of Hong Kong. They are the monopoly bulk for the Kowloon side of Hong Kong, but they also run 2 nuclear power plants in the Greater Bay Area. So we're very excited because they are reinventing themselves into a new utility that will focus on smart energy. And some of the areas that we are talking about within China, like data centers, power storages, very exciting indeed. Again, we are fully prepared for our IPO. Our group structure is both, again, innovative and proven. I won't go into the details, but we are structured to be IPO'd in Hong Kong. And another picture to give people a flavor about is that we kept saying that we are a group. Other than the 5 core companies we've built, we also have a number of other smaller stake ecosystem investments that together form a group that, in a sense, form a synergistic whole that hopefully will cover all the Citytech across the verticals. Again, a lot more to talk about it, but something to bear in mind.